So for my next steampunk project, I thought I would create a set of 6 steampunk themed or inspired ATCs. Now ATCs are normally around about 2.5 inches by about 3.5 inches. So I'm going to be doing 6, but I'm going to be using one base to create my ATC cards to start off with, which is why I've got a piece of watercolour cardstock. It's 300 GSM or £140, and I've cut it at 7.5 by 7. So that's going to give me 2 stacks of 3. So 2 rows, 3 columns, if you like. So 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2. So that's going to give me my 6. So, but to start off with, I'm going to add some colour to the background, and I'm going to be using my Distress Archival inks for this. So I've already taken out my fossilised amber because that's going to be the very first one that I add colour to. So because this is steampunk, I'm going to be using neutral colours, so vintage photo. I'll be using some pops of colour with the fossilised amber, the spiced marmalade, and then I'll add some blues in there as well, probably with the faded jeans, and maybe a little bit of pink paint, peeled paint as well. So there's going to be a little bit of blending and some stenciling, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit of splattering of copper paint along the way. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start building up some colour on the base using my archival inks. So this process may take a little while, so if it gets a little over long, then I will probably speed up the process and add a little bit of music, so you can just watch me adding the colour and blending the colours till I'm happy. But each time I change colour, I will hold that up to the camera to show you which one I'm using. Okay, so I've got the first kind of colour down onto the background. So this is my Carnival Carnival 1 stencil. So I'm going to start adding in just a little bit of background colour into that. So I'm going to this time use Mermaid Lagoon. So this is a little bit of a lighter blue. Now obviously these blending inks, or the archival inks, were kind of limited by what colours that Tim's released through Ranger. So I'm just going to add a little bit just around, just to make sure that I get some of the pattern on most of the ATCs when I cut them out. So there'll be a little bit on each one, because obviously each one will be different. Okay, so that's the first stencil. So bring back the brown, because this time I'm going to bring in some peeled paint, and I've got my small sci-fi circles, and I'm going to overlay that pattern. Don't forget, this is a kind of steampunky, I need a green foam, don't I? There we go. Take steampunky project So we want kind of steampunky elements in there, even if they're just in the background. So we can overlap. Because we're using different colours, you get different hints in the background. You can also use different shapes, like this one. Overlap. Build up some really interesting patterns. Just by varying what circle that you actually use. Because we're using different colours, you do get different hints in the background. Okay, so that's the small sci-fi circles, and just to finish off, I'm going to add some darker brown into the mix, but only in small areas. So I'm going to bring in the ground espresso, load up, and then I've got the honey stencil. So just to kind of give it that little hint of almost Doctor Who-ness, if you want, just over the top and just lightly in the background. So we've got, I won't say like almost a riot of pattern, but there's at least something to catch the eye. So if you remember, you can also have it, you've got like a Doctor Who-ish kind of pattern, or even Torchwood, if you remember those, with Captain Jack just in that background. So we've got a real kind of riotous background of pattern and colour. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Now, of course, because I've used watercolour cardstock with a texture to it, that texture is also showing through a little bit. Now, on the camera there, I'm hoping you can see the pattern and the grain of that coming through. So we're not going to lose that, and I've not gone completely too heavy in certain areas either. So I'm happy with the colour on that. So I'm going to put these away, and then once we've got everything sorted, I'll be right back. Okay, so they've pretty much had a few minutes just to settle. So I'm just going to open up my Indigo Blue Miss Moneypenny copper metallic paint. I've got the lid, I've got my fan brush, so I'm just going to take a little bit of the paint from there. Not going to need a lot, just put some on my craft mat here, and then just add a little bit of water just to kind of loosen it up a little bit. And then I'm going to introduce some copper splatters just into the background all the way, and this will just give me a little bit of glint, a little bit of bling. Of course, because it's random, I've got no idea how it's going to turn out, so each one will be different on the sheet. Okay, done. Get that dried off, and then I'll be back. Okay, so the copper paint is now dry. You can just see the glint and the reflection of that metallic just in the background. So it's time to cut my ATCs up. So we'll flip that over, and then we'll cut down at 3.5 inches. So I've now got 2 strips, and then I'll do 2.5, and then 2.5. So that gives me 3. I'll do the same thing again. Typical, I was out of shot there. Why didn't you tell me? You couldn't see. So 2.5. So that should give me my 6 base cards for my ATCs. I just put that trimmer to one side, and then I'll lay those out. So there's my 6 base cards. Cool. So what I can do with those now is just go around the edge. So I'll grab my vintage photo once again, and then just load that up, and then I'm going to go around the edge just to unify and get rid of those white raw edges where we've cut, and that also then helps just to add a little bit of grunge on the edge too. So I'll do all 6 of those, and when I'm done with that, I'll be back. Okay, so I've got all my bases already done. So I've got Tim Holtz paper doll, I've got a little fragment of dictionary paper, I've got a vintage ticket that I've resized and printed on my computer, I've got also a little raccoon head. So for each one of my paper dolls that I've got for these ATCs, I have a different animal head. Now this is just printed out in grayscale. Obviously this has got a little bit of sepia to it, a little bit of warmth to it. That's just stark black and white. So to counteract that, I've got my Tim Holtz Distressing Antique Linen, and I'm just going to load up the brush, and I'm just going to gently pounce over the top just to introduce a little bit of a warmer tone into that, just so when we stick him on, he's not going to look quite so black and white, and just allow that to sit and soak into. So while we're doing that, I can position where I want everything to be. Now I want to just add a little bit of distress just to the edges of my dictionary text. And bearing in mind I've got 6 of these to do, so I'm going to be doing the same kind of process to each one. So those there, so I'm going to stick that on there. I'm going to stick that over there, and then I can stick my young lad, and then put that over the top. There's my little ATC for now. So to glue everything down, I've got collage glue stick. I'm just going to run that down the back. Ooh. Now of course the words that I've chosen from the dictionary paper, this one is iron down at the bottom. So I've got No, I think actually I printed that on sticker paper. Did I? Yes, I did. Oh, so I don't even have to use glue. So I can position that ticket just about there. And then I've got my paper doll. Now because I've covered up the head, I could theoretically have cut it off. Now on some of them, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to just put his hand on there so it looks like he's leaning. Like so. And then I can take the little head, and I printed that on sticker paper as well, make it a little bit easier on me. And then I can just lay that over the top. We're just showing a little bit of colour. I'll just put it at a slight little angle and then just stick him down.
He's cute.
Yeah.
I am here with coffee.
Ooh, ooh, look at that. That's what you call service.
That's lovely. Well, you got a set, haven't you?
I have. I've got another 5 to do after I've done this
I
one.
think I like to be the best.
That's yet to come. Okay, so because you've seen me do the one, the process is going to be the same on all 6 of them. So once again, I'll put that to one side to dry, and then I will go on fast forward. You'll see me do all 6, and you'll be able to see all 6 of the different heads that I've chosen for each one, with a little bit of music. So I'll pop him there. Okay, so those are the 6 little ATCs, steampunky, Victorian, but with a slight twist. Everybody knows that watches my videos regularly knows I like to add animal heads onto people. It's a very steampunky thing. Love those, absolutely love those. Ian absolutely adores. He thinks the meerkat girls are absolutely adorable. I showed him earlier on which ones I was going to put on what, and he thinks they're absolutely fantastic. He loves them, absolutely loves them to bits. Right, so there's only one thing, well, a couple of things I need to do to finish these off now. I'm just having a mouthful of coffee. Beautiful. And that's to grab a little bit of white paint because I want to add just a couple of splatters, just some light splattering. So I'm going to add a little bit of white paint just to the side of my mat there. We've got copper splatters in the background, but white will just help to kind of unify everything and just give it that kind of antique-y feel. A little bit more water. And I'm going to go really, really lightly. Just over the top. And that's it. Don't need a lot on those at all. Just a hint and that will do it. So I'll get those dried off and then get this cleaned up and then I'll be right back. Okay, so the white splatters are kind of dry now. So just to kind of finish it off, I'm bringing in a stamp set from Indigo Blue. This is called the Draftsman and it's got like a steampunky cog, kind of industrial blueprinty kind of stamp, which is this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring in that ground espresso and I'm just going to go kind of like over the corner. He says try not to drop it, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that just kind of into the background like so. You see just where I've got that kind of like industrially feel, just a little bit towards the top. I'm going to introduce that where I can onto all kind of 6, just to give it a little bit more of a steampunky feel. So that's one. So I'll quickly just run round adding that just onto the edges where I think it needs on each one. Okay, so that didn't take long at all to add those kind of steampunky elements just into the background. And I just think it just helps to tie them all together as a kind of steampunky set. Like it a lot. So the only thing I need to do now is just to add my ATC back to these ATCs. So I'll just print those off my computer and I'll be back in 2 seconds. So I've printed off 6 of my artist trading card backs onto sticker paper. I've trimmed them out and I've already written out all the details for each one. So I'm calling these my Steamimals, as in steam animals. Yes, I'm sure you got that. I've put the date. This is the last one, 6 of 6. And I've got my contact details on there and then the info, part of the 7 Days of Steampunk. I've already done the others, so all I have to do is make sure I've got it the right way up and I can just peel the back off. And stick it down, and I'm sure that you're already aware that on my website I have got the template for these ATC backs and also the backs for the circular ATC ones as well. So you can buy a sheet of the circular ones, obviously without my details on, but you can also buy the square ones too. So they're on my website right now. And that, I think, is it. So we've got number 6, number 3, number 5, number 2, number 1, and number 4. So there we go. So we've got all six individual ones as part of the set, and as I normally like to do, I will keep these back until the video goes live, and then I will randomly drop one into each one of my first 6 website orders that I get after the end of that. Now, it's a physical website order. I can't do it on a digi-download because I'm not posting anything out. So if you buy a stencil or something which I need to post, I will drop one of these in the first 6 physical orders that I get. It will be done at random, and just so that it doesn't get damaged, I'm going to put each one into a little protective plastic sleeve, and that's what I will send out, like I said, but it won't be until this video goes live. So there you go. So you may be one of the lucky ones, or unlucky, depending on which way you look at it. I need to get some more little plastic wallets out. I can't remember where I've put them, but I've got more somewhere. Anyway, I digress. So that is it. That's my 6 little Manimal steampunk themed ATCs for my 7 days of steampunk. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me put those together, even if the video was a little bit long. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me. I will see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.